Expressions Photography, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how I got started with photography and how I came up with the name Ignited Soul Expressions. It's going to be a little bit of a story time, so sit back, relax, and stay tuned. So I originally got into photography around 2012 when I started a fashion blog called Pop Culture. And I was really into fashion, really into taking my own photos of my outfits of the day. I had a lookbook and I was trying to take the best quality photos that I knew to take at that time. So for my college graduation, I was gifted a Nikon Coolpix camera, which I thought was the coolest camera at the time. And I basically used that camera to take all of my photos that showed my outfits, that showed my different styles and things like that that I would upload to my blog. And at that time, I really thought that I was going to become this famous fashion blogger. I was really into kind of just taking photos of things that were happening in my city, just creative things that were happening, whether it was a fashion show, because I literally took this camera everywhere that I went, or whether it was a poetry show, or even local artists who did their debut albums here where I live at. I basically would take my camera everywhere, and I just was obsessed with taking pictures, uploading content, whether it was fashion or entertainment for this blog that I had at the time. And I really, truly thought that that was a path that I was going to be on for a while. So I did that for a while. I really enjoyed it. You know, I took pictures of my friends who were willing to let me dress them up. I took pictures of local fashion troops, and I really just was enjoying kind of creating that content and having a creative outlet. But also, I was at a time in my life where I had graduated from college and I was starting to think about my career. So I went to school for communications, and I was looking for a way to, take my writing to the next level to actually earn me money. So when I realized that, fashion blogging wasn't necessarily going to be this lucrative thing that happened overnight, I essentially started looking for more practical jobs in the communications field and trying to focus on finding a real job at that time. While I was doing my fashion blog, I worked at Forever 21. I was in retail. I was in my early 20s, and that was kind of the thing to do. But by the time I was like 23, 24, I was really wanting to kind of establish my career. So essentially at that point, because I believed at the time that fashion blogging wasn't going to get me where I wanted to be, I kind of put the blogging and photography to the side, and I focused on what was more practical for me at the time. The name Ignited Soul Expressions came about long before I was thinking about connecting it to photography. So in 2016, I was going on a mission trip to LA, and I had to raise $1,400. At that time, I never raised any money for anything personally. Never had that much money in my life, and at the time there was a lot of money considering, where I was, my job, and all kinds of things. And I just was trying to figure out what could I do to raise that money. And I literally just took a leap of faith. I was on Pinterest one day, saw somebody creating hand painted mugs, and I was like, oh, that's easy, like I can do that, and maybe I could sell them for like $5 or $10. So I went to the dollar store, bought some coffee mugs, and I started painting them literally with acrylic paint. And I put the outer coating seal on there, the sealant to seal the design, and I literally put them in my oven.
And the next day I posted them on Facebook and I said, hey, I'm going on a business trip. I need to raise $1,400. Would anybody want to buy these coffee mugs for like $5 to $10? And surprisingly, people wanted to help support me, which I thought was super crazy. Like, it literally just was very random, very much leap of faith, and I just trusted God in all of it because it didn't even make sense to me as it was happening. So I discovered a new skill that I had. I took my creativity and out comes coffee mugs. So I did this and people were ordering them, and I ended up raising over $1,400. So I raised that money and more, which I couldn't even believe at the time. Like, for me, during that time, that was like a great moment of God testing my faith and showing me some things that he could do in my life at that time. And looking back, that was a very, very important moment to me, that I'll always forever remember. So I was able to go on this mission trip, an amazing experience. I would recommend everybody go on one if you've never been on one. And when I came back, I thought, decorating coffee mugs, that's it, it's just for that time. But surprisingly, I had people still asking me to decorate these mugs like long after my mission trip, like months and months later. So people kept asking me and they were paying me. I just was like, oh, like, this could be a nice little side hustle, a nice little way just to make some extra change on top of my job I had already, because I wasn't really making a lot of money at that time. I was still working with the nonprofit, but literally it was like just making it. So I was like very thankful for extra cash, and it was doing something that was just, I enjoyed doing it. It was creative. I love projects, so it was nothing to me. And so I did that probably for almost about another year. And then I was like, okay, so this has potential. Let me turn it into a business. Like, who knows where else this could take me? And so I decided to come up with a name. And I had been thinking about it, praying to God, asking him, what is the name? How do I come up with the name? And I came up with Ignited Soul Expressions. And that name is basically the intimate connection that I have with God, and how whenever I am connected with him, I'm in tune with him, it just births this inner creativity that is expressed outwardly and in so many avenues, because there's so many things that I do creatively. I write, I blog, I paint, I draw, I write poetry, I've written plays. I am still a crafty person. Like, I love a good craft, a good DIY project. So to me, it's just that natural expression of all the things that I love to do through this gift that God has given me. So what's funny is that me kind of taking the coffee mugs and making it into a business, that was my first venture into entrepreneurship, and I didn't even realize it at the time. I just did a lot of stuff to prove to myself that I could do it. I'm still like that sometimes, all about, okay, I have this skill, I'm just going to trust God and take this leap of faith and see where it carries me. And essentially that's what I did. So I had the coffee mugs, and then over time I started adding like home decor and like party favors for people, and it was really fun for a good little minute, and then things got stagnant, and that's when I didn't know what to do. That's where that 2017 starts happening, and my creative juices are just not there, just being drained, being challenged, just a really hard year for me. And so that's where we get the rebirth of Ignited Soul Expressions, and I pivot to photography. So this pivot to photography was, again, just another leap of faith. It just, I don't want to say it just happened, but I journaled about it and I decided that I would take actions that was towards it. But I already had a Facebook page and I already had an Instagram. So I literally deleted everything that was coffee mug related or home decor related, and I started sharing my photos again. I even went back and dug up some of my old photos and kind of just started resharing those as kind of like, I'm getting back into this thing. I just want to have some fun, see where it can go. And when I initially got back into it, I wasn't trying to make it a business. I was just looking for something, again, creative to do, because I had gotten kind of stuck the year before and I was looking for something new, something fresh. So I got back into it, and again, keep in mind, I'm still using like a Nikon Coolpix camera in like 2018. I didn't even have like a DSLR camera. Didn't even think that that's where I was going with this. I just really wanted to have fun with it. I enjoyed sharing my photos and just having a project to work on. So this becoming a business was not a thought in the beginning. But over time, as I started doing it more and like reaching out to people saying, hey, will you like take some photos with me? I just want to build up my portfolio. Or hey, I have this cool photo project. Will you do it with me? And the more people saw my photos online, then people started asking me if I charged, which was the craziest thing ever, because in my mind I was like, me charge? Do you see the camera that I have? Like, it's not even, in my mind, it wasn't a legit camera. So I was like, I've had this camera forever. It's no way that I could just, this professional photographer with this Nikon Coolpix point and shoot camera. Like, it just, in my mind, it wasn't happening. That's not how that was gonna go. But I kept having people ask me to take their pictures, and they were asking me what I would charge. And initially I was like, nothing, but if you want to bless me, by all means, bless me. And I think I did that for about a year before it dawned on me that there was potential there and other people saw it. And I was like, well, if other people see it, then maybe there is potential. So once I saw that other people continuously saw that what I was doing with the photography had potential, I did that for about a year, and then it finally dawned on me that maybe I should get serious about it. Still not thinking long-term business, just thinking, okay, this could be a nice side hustle, but how do I just go about it in a more professional way? So my brain said business cards and website. And that's what I did. So I put together a website. It was very basic, very simple, wix.com. I just used the easiest template that I could find to display some of my pictures that I had taken. And then I got a friend of mine to just shoot some simple headshots of me in Riverside, did my own makeup. They were really simple, nothing fancy. And so to me, creating a website, having business cards, that was kind of like my first venture of getting serious about taking photos. And at that time, I had finally gotten a DSLR camera for Christmas. I had gotten a Canon T6 Rebel for Christmas, and so, I definitely felt a little bit more professional for sure. But also keep in mind, I was still kind of shooting in manual, but I had a better camera, so I felt like it was better quality. That's true but not true. But I was slowly kind of like building my confidence in this photography thing. But even still, as I like had the website, had the business cards, and started charging people for things here and there, I still in my mind somewhere was just not really settled on if this could be a business. I really just was in my mind like, yeah, this is just something that I do, I'm really good at, and it's kind of like side hustle. So I think one of the biggest reasons that I really didn't see it as a business in the beginning was because I have this issue with imposter syndrome, which I still do, but I'm getting better about it. Because it was how I saw myself when I first started off. Like, I just saw myself as this girl who picked up a camera, had a hobby, and I just happened to get paid for it. But I wasn't calling myself a photographer. I was just like, yeah, I do that on the side. But once I hit like the end of 2019 and then beginning of 2020, I started actually seeing myself as a photographer. Like, I was looking back on all the stuff that I had done in a short time period, and even now, just how my skills have grown in a short time period. And then I was starting to actually acknowledge that I was a photographer and saying that to people, which is scary, because when you acknowledge something like that, on the other end, there's expected value that comes with that. So I'm always the type of person, if I'm going to say this, then I hope that I have the value that I can offer to go with that. So that really kept me from really pursuing it for the first couple of years, because it was all about how I saw myself. I didn't see myself as a photographer. I was just like, no, I just do this on the side, no big deal. But in 2020, it's kind of where it hit me of like, yeah, this has potential to be a side hustle, but also it's a business. It's something that I'm invested in. I'm learning, working on my skills, learning the business parts. And I started seeing it as a way to invest in myself and build my skills, which is why I, worked towards investing in a better camera, better lenses, and I took a couple workshops to help my skills and things like that. But it was all about my mindset and not giving into imposter syndrome. So between 2020 and 2021 is probably where I've seen my most growth with photography. I would definitely say the last year, 2 years has been a very interesting journey, a very fast journey, learning a lot of things very quickly, and really getting more serious about the business side of things. So once I had mastered kind of like, the formal camera skills, I took workshops, and, YouTube helped me learn, a lot of things about just how to work my camera. Once that was out of the way and I'm shooting a manual and I can do that confidently, it was time to start focusing on the behind the scenes stuff that matters in how you actually run a business and establishing that foundation. So the last year has really where I've been focusing on that. And that's where I am now. So by no means is my business perfect. Am I like the best photographer in the world? No, there's plenty of people who I consider much greater than me. Obviously, they've been in the game longer than me, but I admire them from afar, and I have them as a reference of where I want to go and where I want to be in the future. But I think the biggest thing that I've just learned throughout this process from 2012 even to now is that it's all about how you see yourself and not giving up. Because in 2020 I did almost give up, but I'm glad that I didn't, because 2020 was just rough for all of us. But surprisingly in 2020, that's when I really got the urge to really like start going hard for this, which is crazy because it was the height of the pandemic. And my little crazy self is like, yeah, I'm going to start going hard on this business. But here I am, a year later, hanging in there, and doing pretty well. So it's definitely, I made this video just to kind of be transparent about my journey. That obviously I didn't get here overnight, but obviously there's still a lot of room left to grow. Technically speaking, I'm only like 3-4 years into my professional photography journey. So I'm still a little baby, kind of. Just still learning and growing and trusting God in this walk more than anything. Definitely, faith has played a big part in getting me where I am today and sustaining me in where I am today. If I said that, obviously it wasn't easy, but a lot of it has been just mentally processing things, and it's not even the physical technical skills anymore, and now it's all mental of like, can I really do this? What am I doing on the back end? Am I good enough? Am I ready to start like building a team? Like all these things that are the next steps of growing a business and pursuing your passions. So I don't think that imposter syndrome ever goes away, but I do think that the more you get into something, the more you're able to face it head on and be a little bit more confident in how you approach it. And then, sometimes you just got to do stuff scared because the moment is going to be the moment and you have to take it. You have to be willing to take that risk. And that's what 2021 has been all about. Taking risks, getting things smoothed out behind the scenes on the business side, and just trying to show up for you guys in new and different ways, hence YouTube channel. And just going from there. So from my experience, one of the things that I will tell you is that you don't have to have everything perfect to start, to begin a business. Just use what you know, use what you have. And as I've seen on my own journey, God will fill in the blanks as you go. But you have to start, and you have to take that crazy leap of faith and just trust Him in the process. So the more you trust Him, the more He'll show you in that journey. And that's one of the things that I definitely have learned in the last couple of years of doing this, is that it's really just a big continuous test of faith and of trust, and definitely knowing that I'm not doing it by myself, that I do have God on my side, and that I have to be mindful to not forget that, because it wasn't by accident that I ended up here, and that in everything that I do, He's showing me more and more of Him. So I hope that this video helped you to get to know me a little bit better, helped you to kind of understand my journey of how I got into photography, a little bit more about who I am behind the lens. And I thank you guys for sticking around for this story time, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.